The Rougarou is a legendary flesh-eating monster in French-speaking communities in the United States and Canada, associated with the European notion of the terrifying werewolf. The full moon hangs high over the Louisiana swampland. The bright lights of the stars flicker in the murky licks of the waves near the towering, ominous cypress trees. Frogs croak their songs in the distance, and mosquitoes buzz as they fly around looking for their next meal. There's a howl in the near distance. It sounds like a wolf, but something's a little off. Standing on two legs on top of a fallen moss-covered tree is a large, snarling beast. It throws its head back, letting out a blood-curdling howl to the moon. That's no werewolf, though. That's what we in Louisiana call the Rougarou. When traveling down the interstate or the back roads in Louisiana, you'll see lots of beautiful scenery. Remnants of history freckle the map, whether it's old and potentially haunted buildings, abandoned theme parks, or even museums with some very strange collections. Back in the thick, fog-covered swamplands is where you'll find the true beauty of Louisiana, and perhaps even a monster or two, including the legendary beast called the Rougarou. The history of the Rougarou is centuries old and has many different origins, but the earliest mention of the infamous mythical Louisiana werewolf comes from medieval France. One of the most frightening swamp-dwelling creatures is a shape-shifting beast known as the Rougarou. This part-human, part-monster prowls the greater New Orleans and Acadiana swamps under the light of a full moon, using shadows and fog for cover as it hunts. Don't get caught alone in the marshes at night, or you might never be the same. The Rougarou has the head of a wolf or a dog. The creature retains a human body, albeit hairier, stronger, and more menacing, mostly to drive fear into the hearts of young children or Catholics who break Lent. Most stories agree that the creature arises from a curse that forces a human to transform into a beast. The person might have some control over the transition, but it often occurs involuntarily by the light of the full moon. In nearly all versions, the person returns to their fully human form each morning. How the curse passes from one person to another is unclear. Some lore tells that the Rougarou is the product of a witch's curse, while others say it passes through the beast's bite or scratch. Similar accounts of shape-shifting and curses stretch across North America, from the mysterious skinwalkers to the Wendigo. Louisiana's Rougarou legends trace back to medieval France, when stories of the Lougarou spread like wildfire through the country. The name is composed of the French word loup, which means wolf, and garou, derived from an old Frankish term for werewolf or lycanthrope. Loup-garou took the blame for many crimes and stoked fear in the hearts of peasants. Horrifying tales persisted for centuries, from the spine-chilling werewolf of Dole to the terrifying beast of Gévaudan. Some French people, such as the philosopher Jean Bodin, suspected that loups-garous were in league with the devil and retained their human intelligence even in wolf form. Unlike the general werewolf legend, loups-garous were cunning and could transform regardless of the moon cycle. It was said that these lycanthropes spread their curse to others, especially ex-lovers. If somebody hunted and harmed the creature, it would shift into its true form and reveal the dark secret to their pursuer. Victims suffered as a loup-garou for 101 days and could only reclaim their life as a human if someone recognized them in animal form and drew blood from the lycanthrope. Even then, the pair had to keep quiet about the loup-garou's secret to avoid dire consequences. As the French migrated to North America, they brought many legends with them to the New World, including tales of werewolves. Early French Canadians used the legend of the loup-garou to bring Catholics to heal and reinforce church doctrines. Anything from failing to observe Lent to refusing to confess during Easter could trigger the werewolf-like curse. Fur traders, woodsmen, and explorers also helped shape the French-Canadian version through the generations. Their frequent interactions with Native American tribes added new layers to the creature, including the Algonquin's tales of the Wendigo. Though the North American variations of the Rougarou were not as macabre as their European counterparts, the possibility of being cured eventually became a bit more complicated than simply keeping a secret. According to one French-Canadian legend, people had to shed their blood to undo the curse. Louisiana naturally developed a blend of English, French, and Native American influences, leading the Cajun communities in the bayou to develop a rich lore surrounding the werewolf. Like other aspects of French culture, the Cajuns adapted the language to match with local dialects. The Lougarou shifted to Rougarou in various iterations, including Rougarou or Rougarou. This natural evolution can be seen in English itself, with words like goodbye. Beyond the name change in Cajun French dialects, Louisiana's werewolf often bore a bloodlust similar to that of vampires. In some tellings, the fate of the Rougarou lasted 101 days, during which they were under a spell that could transfer from one human to another. One explanation for the time lapse is that it coincided with a period of illness and withdrawal from the community. Some variations in the bayou infused a bit of witchcraft or voodoo into the tale, typically leaning into the idea of a mystical curse. Curing a Rougarou remains a bit of a mystery in Cajun folklore, though it typically falls somewhere between the French and French-Canadian versions. Fortunately, the bayou legends offer a means of protection against the creatures. To guard against Rougarou, some placed a colander around their doors, or set down 13 beans instead. Others believed the best way to protect yourself from falling victim was to put 13 coins or even grains of rice around your bed. It was said the creature couldn't resist trying and failing to count all the way to 13. Arithmetic saves the day. Count Von Count would be proud. Southern Louisianans don't quite agree on the Rougarou legend, with some gravitating more toward the French variations, while others inject a healthy dose of Choctaw shape-shifting legend into the mix. Since wolves are somewhat scarce in the region, folklore often draws from other stories to fill in the blanks. That's why the creature skulking around in the bayou sometimes features the head of a dog, or even owl-like characteristics from Choctaw lore. The Cajun legend of the Rougarou typically acted like a boogeyman for the people of New Orleans and the bayou. On the one hand, parents used the bayou's terror to keep young children in line and home at night. It also served as a way to keep Catholics on the straight and narrow, especially post-Mardi Gras. Claims of Rougarou sightings were once a regular occurrence throughout the bayou, but reports have become infrequent in recent years. Some argue that the dwindling marshlands threatened the creatures and drove them into hiding. Over the past decade, local activists and historians crafted a new version in an effort to change the face of the bayou. They developed the Rougarou Fest to serve as a fundraiser and raise awareness about the impact of climate change on the swamplands. Today, the Rougarou serves as the festival's mascot. Think of it as the bayou's version of Smokey the Bear.